listening to The Starting Zone, a podcast about World of Warcraft and the people who play it. And now, here are your hosts.
Well, hello and welcome to The Starting Zone, the podcast about World of Warcraft, the people who play it. Today is June 8th, 2025, and my name is Spencer Downey. Thank you so much for listening and subscribing to the podcast. I am joined today, as always, by my co-host, Jason Lucas. Jason, how are you doing on this fine Sunday?
Spencer, hello. I'm doing well. It's a bit of a gloomy weekend for June in my neck of the woods, so that means it's a good time to stay inside and play video games, I guess, at least, right? So there's
Fair.
that, but we are here. We got some patch news this week, so now we got stuff locking in. We had that Dastardly Duos feature roll out finally, so
Yep.
the wheels are turning. I think I want to point out also, as we record, it is like 12:30 p.m. Eastern on June 8th. In
True.
like half an hour is the Xbox showcase for Summer Games Fest, or whatever we
Yep.
call what used to be E3 these days. Obviously, Microsoft owns Blizzard these days. There may be WoW stuff announced at this thing, and we will not be covering it because it hasn't happened yet. So just a little disclaimer at the top. I think the most exciting thing for me about 11.1.7 being on the immediate horizon is that means that we should be seeing some 11.2 stuff soon, and to me that is more exciting than a little interstitial patch. Is like, what's the last part of what's the last chapter for War Within? Like, where are we going?
Yep.
What are we fighting? What kind of stuff are we going to get? And like, that's coming. .7 is going to be at the door soon, and the way that they work, that means that we'll see PTR for 11.2 in like a couple more weeks. So to me, that's like more exciting than I think anything with the stuff live right now and the stuff coming soon. So just looking ahead to that,
Well, you're right.
what I presume will be the end of War Within, basically.
Yeah, we're in an interesting spot story-wise because we have the overarching, unsolved villains, of course, that are like off in the distance doing something, but there's nothing immediate at the moment anyway. We've defeated Galley, and we're now in a position where it's like, okay, well, like who's the next big bad? Where's this chapter go next? Because we defeated the Nerubian stuff, and now we defeated the Goblin stuff, and so what's the next thing that they're going to be adding? And it's probably going to be like Consortium or whatever it is, and we'll figure that out. But I want to see what it is. Right, that's the dealio here. So yeah, I mean, 11.2 is a neat spot. I don't feel like I'm on a cliffhanger at the moment, I guess is what I'm saying. Story wise, I don't feel like we're like, oh, what's the next thing? Like, have it drop, but can't wait because we know so and so is involved and so and so is involved. So anyways, it to me is an odd space story wise because we're in that lull. I think we're in the second chapter. We don't know where the third is going to kick off lull. So I want to see it. But speaking of defeating Galley, that was something I did this past week on Sunday, right after recording the show. We went into raid.
Congrats.
Knocked
Nice.
out Mythic
Awesome.
Galley, which was great. So that is a wrap on everything that comes from this raid tier for us, for Prague. And I'm feeling really good about the Galley kill, actually. I feel like, I mean, obviously it's a little overdue. We probably spent an extra week on it than we should have. But my performance-wise, I was pretty happy overall with Galley and what happened with Galley. So that felt good for me to end on that point. I know that next raid tier, I'm going to be coming in full-time healer and just sticking with healing, which will feel really good as well. I'm looking forward to be back in that position. I have not been full-time healer without like a flex kind of role thing since the beginning of BFA. That was the last time I was in that position. So I'm looking forward to being back to just
That
focusing
is a long
on that.
time ago.
I know.
It's weird to think about how long ago that was.
I know.
I mean, you're talking 7 years ago,
Yep.
almost, just about. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I've been doing Boomkin things, and I've been doing resto things back and forth in raid flexing for that time. So it's been a while, and I'm looking forward to just having my head buried in the leaves of restoration. So that'll be really nice. Oh,
That's awesome, man. Well, congrats to the team.
you.
It's I'm sure it's quite a relief, just to kind
Yes.
of get there and go, okay, you still got more than 2 months of, nothing new coming to just
Yeah.
relax, farm out or whatever, or not, or whatever you want to do. Just no more, pressure to like be really on point with something, or for having like something click in on a timeline, right?
Yeah.
The timeline is now wiped clean. You're just waiting for season 3.
You feel less like there's an obligation to absolutely positively have to be there absolutely positively every night, which I like. And I also feel like, obviously we'll downshift to one night a week, which will be nice at some point here once we start doing our re-clears. Because we just don't want to get people everyone in the group mounts. There's 3 mounts that drop every time, so like that will happen, which is great because we have enough time left to do that farm-wise. So that's good to see. We still want, obviously, to get people really particular items they might be looking for that they maybe aren't spending their cartel chips on yet or whatever it is, because they want to get a Mythic Plus piece or something else, and they're sort of holding off and deciding what to do with those last chips that they might have. So, there's still things to do in farm, and I think we'll really enjoy that. And obviously farm will be a lot easier because we're extremely more powerful than we were the first time we went through and killed all these bosses, because we've been extending since One Arm Bandit. No, since Sprocket, I think, is when we started extending. So it's been a long time that we've been extending the raids. So that first 4 bosses, the first 5 or 6 bosses will probably just fall over by comparison to what it was like when we were first doing them. So
it'll be funny going back and doing them now between the item level, the raid greater, buff, the buff stacking up, the greater corruptions and all that. It's going to be a whole different. It'll be comical when you knock those early bosses over, going, wow, look that was 3 minutes faster than our previous fastest kill or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. That is what it will be, and it will be interesting to see that happen and go through that. So I'm certainly excited about doing farm stuff, but I've basically just taken a week. So there's like a just for fun raid that's going to be happening this week for folks who want to attend, and outside of that, it's just everyone's taking the week off and enjoying themselves. So World of Warcraft wise, I've played dramatically less this week than I did previous week. I did do my Horrific Visions on Tuesday, and what I mean by that is there was stuff I still needed to do to get motorcycle mount, so I was working on that. And then there was stuff that this week you could get the Jeweled Panther mount out of there, because last week I took my Jewel Crafter in to learn how to make it. So now my Jewel Crafter is one of the folks who can actually make that mount. And so me and 2 friends in the guild went out and did a bunch of Horrific Visions to be able to get all the materials we needed to be able to make the Jewel Crafting mount. So that was great. So we did that. And so, I think I'm just 1 week away from having all the mounts. There's a couple of mounts I missed in Stormwind, so I'm 1 week away from having all the mounts out of that Horrific Vision stuff and being done with Horrific Visions. So again, props to the couple of friends who do help me with Horrific Vision stuff, because my motivation is so low to do Horrific Visions. I would not be doing this if I literally didn't have someone message me at like 6 or 7 p.m. in Discord being like, hey, get online, we're doing Horrific Vision. I would be like, no, I'm not. I'm just not doing it. So I'm glad that friends are there to help me make sure that I meet my collections goals that I have for this game.
That's what friends are for, man. That's why we always harp on the social aspect of the game. And like, if you don't have like a circle of people to play with, whether it's a guild, it's a dungeon team, whatever, just some kind of structure. It really, we've made such great social connections through the game, and it also makes the game more rewarding to play. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's definitely why I play the game, for sure, is the people that sort of surround it and the people who are involved in it and my friends that I have here. So I would play dramatically less World of Warcraft if it wasn't for the folks that I play with. So there is definitely that as well. But yeah, so I did that and did the Horrific Vision stuff, and then I basically sort of took a bit of a breather, took a real life breather from World of Warcraft for a bit, which was nice. So that has been my week. I haven't even done a Mythic Plus. I'll probably try and fit a Mythic Plus in today. Like I literally have not done stuff. So yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah,
it's just kind of gets to be that point in the season sometimes, right? And also, like, you have that kind of big moment of exhaling, right?
Yeah, that's what this
when
is.
The boss goes down. Yeah, for sure. For me, like, I knew it was gonna be a weird week, right? We talked last week about the kind of exodus I had from the raid team. Luckily, there was like one guy in particular that I thought I was going to lose that I'm not losing, which is awesome because he's a super solid player, chill guy, love having him, and he's sticking with us. So that was a nice morale boost for me as just, the leader of the team. We got some other people kind of checking out the team. We got some new recruits. Obviously, we have that ZTH machinery clicking away behind us. So, like, we have some options. We only ended up raiding one night because we just didn't have signups, and this raid is so easy and fast that you run out of stuff to do. But so Tuesday we went in and we full cleared heroic. I was playing the monk the whole time. I was gonna switch off. I was just like, let me just get some vault stuff for the monk. Like, let me see if I can fill in these, these slots I still have champ gear in. And Pete, my co-tank, was like, no, you're playing the monk until we wipe. or whatever, or like right, like until it's your fault you're playing the monk, just do it. So I ended up full clearing on the monk, which was cool. It was fun. I hadn't done those bosses on the monk before. It presents a little bit of a different challenge because monk tanking headspace and the way you handle damage is different than warrior, and also the mobility is different. And I use my mobility a lot on galley, especially because I'll run bombs. Like Pete will round up the boss, and I'll just leap over with a bomb. Can't do that with a monk, but monks are still pretty mobile. So it was fun to kind of, just figure that out, figure out that the kind of nuance or how I was going to approach it.
So what's that? I want to pop in here. So galley bombs on Mythic, you don't necessarily have platforms that come down. So you need to use classes that can jump into the air to deposit a bomb and then get back to the platform without landing anywhere. So there's a lot of mages running bombs and demon hunters running bombs. And we had a situation where, for whatever reason, one of our mages couldn't make it, like couldn't jump for some reason. Like I know they play from EU, so they have from South America, so they have latency stuff going on. But it was one of those, like, we had to swap them out, not leave that. We swapped which bomb they were carrying to one that actually had a platform with a demon hunter. But then the demon hunter started doing it, kept using both of his dashes to get over to drop the bomb, and then would jump into the air and realize the mistake they have made. And that happened twice, which was very funny. That they would leap into the air and then be midair with a bomb and be like, "Oh, I screwed up." yes, you did. You need to be able to get back. So, yeah, there is definitely a learning experience with bombs on the Mythic difficulty, and you just reminded me when you talked about leaping on the warrior with bombs. So I wanted to share some silly raid stories.
Well, everybody was waiting for me to roll off the edge, right? Which I never did. And they were like, "Oh, I can't believe you didn't do that." And I'm like, I'm not like a novice monk player. I've been playing my monk pretty seriously since the second year of Legion, right? So that's, 8 years or so now. Like, I don't bring it, unless we're doing like low impact stuff, but it's not like I don't know, I don't have a feel for the character. Well, so everyone's impressed that I didn't roll off the edge and kill myself. So that was good.
Yeah. So and so something that happens with both blink and roll for monks is it's like the same distance. A blink is the same distance as rolling, one distance. What is different from those two distances is the movement ability that evokers have. Their little like leap through the air is twice or almost twice the distance as that. And it throws every new player on Evoker off. I swear it does. It throws every new player on Evoker off that most movement speed abilities, even Displacer Beast for Druid back in the day, they all moved that same distance. And suddenly you're thrown substantially farther when you use it. So it's one of those, like, I think that was part of the learning curve on that class, was just being like, okay, I got this ability, I need to move over there, click this button, and you're like, whoa, I went way farther than I thought I was going to go. And I think that's what happens with new monk players, is they hit roll and they just forget that this is how the distance is going to be. But you get this like ingrained feeling of how far you're supposed to move when you hit something. And when that's a substantially different distance, you're just not used to that happening. And I think that happens with a lot of the newer players on those specs.
Yeah, and you always, because a lot of people have Demon Hunter alts, right? And they're like, "Oh, let me bring my Demon Hunter," and then they're just zooming off of stuff. It's pretty funny. Yeah. But so after Heroic wrapped up, then I was like, all right, I'm getting the Warrior. I need myth stuff on the Warrior. Like, I don't know how far we're gonna get, but we did have 20, and we were rounded out by super special guest Sparty Smallwood playing Hunter to round out our 20th spot. Yeah,
I like Sparty. He's good dude.
Sparty showed up, and it was great. And so we managed to get Vexy and Cauldron done before the end of the night, which is awesome because that means a vault slot for everybody who was there. Like having Sparty along was great. And let me give you an example of Sparty's like leadership quality. He was like silent. He didn't really talk unless he had a question to ask. He followed whatever the strat was. He didn't chime in with, well, actually, why don't you do it like this? Or like, we like to do it like this or whatever. Yep. And he volunteered for every single mechanic. He was playing a hunter. He's like, yeah, I'll kick the casino chips. I'll do, I'll kick the toys, whatever it was. It was just like, sometimes, when you have people who are maybe higher progressed or whatever, and they come into the raid, like they want to kind of steer the ship, and he didn't do that at all. It was great having him. We had such a fun run Tuesday. It was a nice morale boost after having like a bunch of people kind of depart the team. So, our attendance is still, we'll see what it is. I don't know what's going to happen this week. And, it is going to be whatever it is, but we are still, we're recruiting people, and we're still plugging away at Undermine, so it's good. This week we got another 3% coming up, right? Once we get our next renown rank. So the raid is like actually too fast and too easy, but that is not a complaint for me. It's getting to be summertime, and I don't want to spend 6 hours a week in the raid anymore. So
that's the thing, right? So for me, the biggest thing I like about these progressive nerfs, or the progressive buff, whatever you want to look at it, that happens with raids is, as someone who does mythic raiding, I really want to have that month or 2 months of downtime between progression raids. Like, I want to have a farm period. That farm window is so important for people, and it's so important that it's not like painful or requires a lot of focus, or like, it needs to be those silly fun nights of raiding. And the teams who just get together to raid for silly fun nights need to be able to feel like they're still accomplishing something in those silly fun nights. So by doing these nerfs, the teams that are doing the mythic side of it are like, yeah, sure, this got really easy, but it just means that you're compressing the raid into a much shorter period of time. So those people have more time to do other things and blow off steam and relax and sort of recover from this intensive progression period. And the teams that are just having a good time and logging in and, just want to goof around with their friends and whatnot and get together and raid, suddenly are able to kill some bosses they weren't able to kill before, or are able to sort of be a little bit more silly than they normally would be, because they can recover and be okay with it, with the changes that are happening. So I really like that progressive nerf system. I really hope they keep that around for future raid tiers, because it's just, it automatically allows for more fun and enjoyment in the game, even though the content is getting shorter and shorter towards the end of its lifespan, which I think just works.
Yeah, I agree. And it allows for so much more flexibility. Hey, your buddy who hasn't been around for the first couple weeks of the season because of real life stuff or whatever wants to come in a raid. Well, they're not like massively behind to a point where we're going to have a problem reclearing.
Right.
Hey, why don't you bring your new brewmaster and tank heroic with it? It's like you have the freedom to do that. So it's cool. We ended up doing a bunch of keys on Tuesday after raid, and then we didn't have raid scheduled on Wednesday because it's like, well, everything's dead. What are we going to do?
Right.
Normal, like, we're not going to do that. So we just did keys on Wednesday, got my vault done, getting portals and plus 12s in time for some friends who are not, weren't in there plugging away early in the season. We got our buddy Case Lock some 12s he needed. Well, he's gunning for portals, but I'm like, dude, you're getting resilience. Like, and my rogue buddy, who I always talk about, like, he's been in and out a lot. He's got all his real life situations been all over the place this year for good and bad reasons. Just life, it happens. It's up and down, but he's been back in a little bit. So I'm like, yeah, get in here, get some keys done, get your portals unlocked, get your stuff, get your achievements, your mounts, whatever. So that's really fun. I mean, dude, 12s feel so good right now. It's like we can 4-man 12s and bring in whoever wants to play. It's great to have it. Really, it feels really good to do that.
I'm definitely enjoying the 12s difficulty at the moment. It's just it is really nice to be able to get in, not feel like I need to stress out over it. Just item level wise, difficulty wise, I just feel strong enough, and our characters in our group feel strong enough that you can literally bring in someone who's like 630 eye level and be like, we're going to run 12s. It's going to be a thing. Yeah,
right. I think it's really good, and I'm not trying to push. I'm chilling. I have 13 resilience, which I didn't even really want, but it's just kind of a natural thing. You just end up with it. I feel like from playing through the system. I think one of our guys just unlocked 14 resilience this week. Some people are still kind of pushing here and there, but I'm happy to just farm them out. Hope to fish for something good in vault and help anybody out. Any of my buddies who need need ports or need whatever they need. So it's a good time. But I was pretty much like, that was most of the WoW that I played was by Wednesday. I did check out Dastardly Duos, and I have like nothing to say about it. I did one run. I got everything that I could unlock for the week, and I said, I'll see you next week. Like, it's fine. There's nothing to it. It's not Brawlers Guild. It's not even close. It's just it's a thing to do. I don't know why it's a limited time thing. I'm a little confused at the whole rollout of this feature. I didn't have a bad time doing it, but I did it for 5 minutes and I went, okay, well, I'll see you next week. I didn't end up doing Horrific Visions at all, just because I don't really care about the cosmetics from it. So I'll probably get back to it at some point when I'm a little bit more energized to do it. I think I have the whole tech tree unlocked now, but
Yep.
I didn't
Should.
do any this week. So I just had enough mementos from previous weeks, right, to buy it all. So, whatever. That's that's in the back of my mind. When I feel like doing it, I'll get back around to it. But I didn't even step in there this week. I did some gilded delves on the druid because he needs crest, but he doesn't really need gear anymore, which is a nice feeling. So just kind of blasting through those, and he's like north of 665 item level, something like that. He's pretty up there, and I got to get one more in the monk because crests are, the gilded crests are kind of important on those tunes. I don't get them anywhere else, and that's like that last plateau of power with the way the turbo boost item levels are. So just got to get that in there for some extra crest. And I did finish up Flames Radiance Renown, which is like, it's not hard to do. It's not any kind of big ask, and it's like semi grindable, but I just hadn't done it. So it feels nice to just have that done and everything checked off and all the rewards before the next patch and before all the new stuff starts up. I've been taking the Demon Hunter out there just because she's in a real hodgepodge of like season 1 gear, veteran gear, just some real garbage. So taking her through, because you get the guaranteed champ piece every week, and so got her some weapons, just kind of starting to get some stuff put together for her. So that was pretty cool. I actually like that system. Like I think Flames Radiance is actually really good. It's like underrated good for gearing up low item level characters or fresh 80s. It's just the fact that the event was broken like pretty badly at patch launch just left such a bad taste in people's mouths that I think they didn't know what to do with it, but it is a really nice avenue if you have a tune that you want to play in season 3 or whatever, or you want to catch up for the end of season 2 and you just have like nothing. Go out there, go do Flames Radiant stuff, and you'll get set up with 4-piece, you'll get everything that you need. And then, you can upgrade it with crest and you can start climbing the ladder into the content that you want to play. It's pretty time efficient for that stuff. So, don't forget that it's out there. I know the event is lackluster, but it's, ultimately, if it's a means to an end for gearing up a character you want to play, then I think it's not that big of a deal. I don't think it's too bad of an ask for what you get out the other side of it.
Yeah, I think as for me personally, as a post breadth of progression, that's something I'll look at. I haven't really touched that event very much. Obviously, I haven't done my Dash League duos yet, so I need to do that this week before it goes away. But it's one of those things of like those are the types of things that typically I would leave for like 3 weeks after Prague, 4 weeks after Prague. I start to get that itch to be like, I want to complete some things this patch cycle. Is there anything else I want to do season wise, and get into doing those sorts of stuff? Right, this week is very much the week of like, I just need to decompress from. I don't need WoW right now, and so that's the feeling I have going for it. But, anyways, let's hop into what's going on this week in World of Warcraft, because we've got some things to talk about. All right, well, this is the Battleground bonus event week. So the Sign of Battle buff is up, increasing honor gains from Battleground objectives and wins by 50%. And there's a quest to win 4 random battle rounds, get some marks of honor and conquest. It means it's also Pet Battle bonus event week, because Pet Battle bonus event always pairs with something. And now that we've complained about it enough, I have no idea if we caused that or not, but we did happen to be the ones who were very vocal about it for a long time.
I mean, let's chalk it up. You know, I say let's chalk it up, because that was the thing we always used to say. It's like, if you don't like pet battles, like, and it was just a niche audience. I'm not denigrating it at all. I think pet battles are cool for what they are. I don't do them, so it's a total non-event for me. Although I guess PvP is the same thing. But hey, WoW's a buffet. You don't have to eat every dish.
Exactly. And so, yes, they paired that in with Battleground bonus event as well as some other things. So you see Pet Battle bonus event creep around every now and then, which gives you the Sign of the Critter buff, increasing your Pet Battle experience gains by 100%. And there's a quest to win 5 PvP pet battles, which gets you an ultimate pet battle training stone, which instantly levels any pet to level 25, which is the maximum level for those who don't do pet battles. Outside of that, we have obviously the Undermine weeklies you want to be doing down at the Incontinental Hotel. Be sure you're at least choosing which faction you're supporting for the week, so the activities you're doing are getting you renown towards that faction. It is Delves week from Bran. That means this is the week for Jason to do his Titan disc fragments, because he'll get that done while doing the Delves week for Bran. So that'll all sync up and happen together. So if you're someone who is wanting to do Delves week, you'll probably finish your Titan disc fragments from last week at the same time, which is great. and that'll get you your spark fragment that you're looking to get, as well as some other rewards along with that. It is the Brawl Week for South Shore versus Terran Mill, the 10-year anniversary event. When they added this brawl in, we're now past 20 years of this game, is back, and it's a 40-on-40 deathmatch, and it's basically just open world, outdoor, two large groups of people smashing into each other, death knights yoinking people across the line, and they just get evaporated in the group of 40 people when they get gripped in, so it's kind of hilarious on that level. And yeah, unless you have a priest who can do a quick grab or an invoker with a rescue, that'd be kind of a hilarious rescue to have happen. But especially if they went in and died as they flew into the group of 40 to try and get the person out. But you never know, it's possible. We now have evokers messing with the 10-year anniversary thing, and if you do
line up a leap of faith with that, like you have to grip the evoker back out, right? Like they go with the rescue, and then you grip them out. I don't know, but then I guess the person they were rescuing is probably, I don't know, but
I don't know if that'd be interesting to know whether or not if they pick the person up and they get life grip, does it move both people? There's something for someone to science.
I don't know. Yeah, the timing would be so precise; it would just be hard to ever really know.
Yeah. It's probably happened somewhere out there in the land of millions of people playing this game.
Oh yeah, with the amount of data, yes, the amount of times it's happened for sure. But trying to do it on purpose might be tricky.
This reminds me so much. There have been some very silly moments where people called for grips in raids, not in this current team, but in previous teams, where in one situation I was gripped 3 times by different priests because someone said grip tree, and then literally one priest hit it as the second priest hit it as the third one, and I moved to 3 different locations, which was really hilarious, and then died because they pulled me through 3 different mechanics when they did it. There's been, and you spoke of Sparty. Sparty has a really famous clip during Shaw, the Outdoor World Shaw Fear, the outdoor world boss in Pandaria, where people had organized casting a blessing of protection on him so he couldn't bubble himself because he'd have forbearance, after having multiple priests chain grip him up into the sky so he'd take fall damage and die. And they'd worked that out as a raid team before he arrived. And so he has a clip of him fighting Shaw of Fear and then getting a bot put on him, and he's like, well, that's weird, like why some bot, whatever it is, right? And then as the moment the bot is starting to wear off, you just watch him get gripped like 4 times up into the sky and then just fall, and he's like, I can't even, and then just he dies. It was hilarious. So what a great clip from him.
Just incredible teamwork.
Funny moments for Sparty. But yes, incredible teamwork.
I mean, when it comes to South Shore Terran Mill, it was a long time ago it came in. We have a lot more player displacement mechanics now than we had back then. So, you can use them to your advantage or peril in the brawl this week, and bring some DK friends and stand behind them. That's
just let them do the fishing, man. They just cast their grip into the group and pull in something for you to beat up. This is a fun nice. Brawl.
Like, if you need HKs for various achievements or whatever, there's those PvP achievements based on like how many honorable kills you have on different types of characters or whatever. It's a great brawl for that. There's not a lot of technique. Just try to stay with the group. Don't get too deep, and rack up the HKs. It's pretty fun.
Outside of that, you want to knock over your Godfather for the week. That'll get you the 642 eye level Warbound loot that you want for your account. So just be sure you're picking that up so you can share it with one of your alts. Hopefully you're getting the neck a bunch. You just keep throwing crit verse necks on people, which are never a bad thing for a newer character. So always a nice thing to do. Mythic Plus affixes for the week. We got Devour is what the week is this week. This is the players are periodically afflicted with a healing quota in combat that needs to either be dispelled or healed through. Obviously, this has become less and less of an issue, as it always does as seasons go on and people become more geared. However, like every spec on the planet can get a dispel of some kind. It's any kind of dispel. It doesn't matter if it removes a bleed, a poison, a disease, and a curse, and all of those will remove this debuff. So just pick yours up for the week, have it as a talented thing, and every minute click it once. And then you just, make everyone's lives easier. So this is a great thing for folks to be able to take care of personally, as opposed to relying on the healer to do. Be sure you're taking care of your Devour debuffs this week. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just remember, I mean, like, it is so late in the season that it can be kind of tricky. Like, I don't play with affixes anymore, right? I graduated out of that a while ago, so I don't really do anything below 12s.
Yeah.
But like even a couple weeks ago, like months ago, whatever, like my healer was like, don't even bother taking bitter immunity. Like take your talents that are going to help us do stuff in the dungeon. I got you. So, but like definitely communicate. You have some way to counterplay it, whether you think you do or not. Like pretty much everybody has something that'll work on it. So keep it in mind and just have a plan. You know, that's it, because you don't want this thing going off, but it's also, it shouldn't be that disruptive at this point in the season, but don't go in planning to ignore it, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's where I'm at too. Go in with an idea of how you can handle it for sure. And the relying on yourself is kind of the easiest way when it comes to this sort of thing. All right, hot fixes for the week. In Dastardly Duos, the rewards have been moved to Woden, the Troll Servant. Each reward listed with Woden will show that the quest that's required to obtain it, which week it will become available. So if you're somebody who's trying to plan out which weeks to get which rewards you want, you can go and check Woden, the Troll Servant, and they'll help you out with that. They're located, I think, right next to the Trader's Tender people inside of Dornegal, I believe.
No, this is down. There's like a whole. This is down by the PvP stuff, actually, which is kind of. If you're not a PvPer, which I'm not, it's like I never go to this part of Dornegal, but it's all set up in like the southeastern part of the city.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're out by like that southeastern gate. This is kind of funny because I think why they did this is because people logged in and went, "What the hell is Dastardly Duos? What is this? What do I get? When and why?" Because like we ran down the rewards from the weekly quest last week, and there's something different each week, right? Yep. But it's not obvious what it is. There's not a rep for this. There's not a renown, whatever, where you can kind of track. Okay, this is when all this comes in. So they put it all in a vendor, which seemed like maybe a good idea, except you can only see sort of the sequence in which the rewards unlock. You can't like grind duos to get all your rewards, which I think is what some people thought when the title of the post with the hotfixes being added to the notes was like, yeah, the rewards have been moved to the vendor. Like, oh, sweet. That means I can do some Dastardly Duos, maybe bring some friends, rack up some stuff, and then I can, I don't have to wait 5 more weeks to get all the rewards. No, I think it was just to communicate the idea of like, okay, this is all the stuff that this event yields, so do your quests.
Yeah, this sort of gets people ready for the Time Ways event that's coming up, because it's a similar thing in that every week there's a different quote-unquote reward. In their case, it's a rotation of time walking dungeons, and you need to be able to be sure that you have the stuff done you want to do, and a lot of cases it's about getting 5 of them done throughout the span of the entire event for that event. But yeah, I dislike events where you have to participate in a week or you don't get the rewards. I like events where you have to participate X amount of times to get the rewards. That to me is much more interesting, because it means if someone is going on vacation for a week, that's like, well, sorry, you're just out of luck. You can't log into WoW for that week. You're out of luck. You don't get these rewards. And it feels and puts a bad taste in your mouth. It feels bad, puts a bad taste in your mouth over the whole thing, versus just being like, hey, you need to participate X amount of times in order for this to happen. Or there's a catch-up mechanic where these things are going to unlock over 5 weeks, but if you run it 5 times in 1 week, on the last week, you will get all the rewards for the whole thing. I like that system a lot more than ones where it's like you have to physically be here during this 1 week span. And I will also caveat that by saying I don't mind seasonal rewards where you have months to earn a reward, and if you don't earn the reward over those months, then hey, yeah, you didn't play during this window of time, you didn't get those rewards. I like limited time rewards. I just feel like a week is really short. I feel like 2 weeks is really short. I think a month is like a much nicer round kind of space, because there's very few people who will not be able to find the time to log in during a month versus a week. So I don't know, that to me is just one of those things about Dastardly Duos that stands out. But we digress.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just one more point on that. Yeah. Like the question will be like this week coming up, like after reset, if you missed week 1, can you just not do that quest now, or can you do week 1 and 2 quests? Like you should be able to do week 1 quest and week 2 quest on week 2 if you haven't done week 1 quest. But sometimes Blizzard doesn't make stuff work like that. Yeah. So hopefully it does work like that. And if you didn't do Dastardly Duos this reset because you didn't want to, or you had something better to be doing, hopefully this will be the next thing. In next week's hotfix blog, it'll be we've made it so that you can catch up on the Destiny 2's quests or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So hotfixes continuing. They fixed an issue with the big wheel of cheese inside Delves because it would not grant experience to Bran. So that's now granting experience for the cheese that he's eating when you get him the big wheel of cheese. Dungeons in raids, Liberation of Undermine. They increased the lifetime of the Gigabombs on Mythic difficulty for Gallywix by 30 seconds. This was a very minor change. This really resolved an issue that was causing people to hold DPS. That's all that was really happening. So it was just nice in that case, where literally there was one particular ad that you'd pull away from the group at one particular point of the fight, and you'd wait on killing that ad, because when you killed that ad, the bombs would spawn. And so you'd wait 30 seconds to kill that ad, basically, so that when you killed it, the bombs would spawn at the time that worked best for the fight timing. So they just added 30 seconds to the bond timers, which means you just kill that ad right away with everything else that you're killing, and then the bombs spawn, but you have 30 more seconds to do your bomb stuff. So that was a great solve, and I'm glad they fixed it. It's just quality of life. So that was good to see. When it comes,
anything that makes you throttle DPS just stinks. It never feels good. Yeah. Like it's the most unfun thing. Something that is like super high level challenge, but fair is more fun than everybody stop pushing your buttons for the next 5 seconds. Like, we don't want to do that. Yeah. So anything that relieves that is always a plus.
This was weird because this would require a tank to like take an ad and just take it off into nowhere, because people would just passively kill it. So like it was literally just a really awkward, strange thing to be like, okay, you just take this ad and go over there and sit in the corner, and right. We'll do stuff over here.
Combine the fact that like holding DPS isn't fun with the fact that it's very hard to hold DPS in the modern game, because you're cleaving everything, you have procs going off, like stuff is just happening with your character all the time. So it is actually like legitimately hard to hold DPS sometimes, just even without like tunnel vision kicking in.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dark Flame Cleft. They fixed an issue where the shuffling horror can fall through the world. Well, I'm okay. They updated the visual of Rank Overseer's Wild Wallop to match with the actual impact area. Oh, great! So it actually lines up now, so you can not be like, I swear I was not standing in that, and then it still hit you. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. Well, this one, I actually I did this week after the hotfix came in, and the visual is like noticeably smaller, so that's good. Before, I guess the visual was too big, so it would look like stuff would be in it that wasn't, and maybe you'd be overreacting to it as a result. Okay. So this is a bit smaller. This is such an annoying ability, but at least having better information about what's going to be affected is nice. What I like to do is I round up a bunch of stuff on top of the Overseer, and then right when this is going off, I drop Champion Spear, and then everything gets knocked away and then tethered right back to them.
Yeah, it's where Druids use Vortex. Druid use Vortex.
Yeah, there, anything like that is really great for it, because those little casters getting knocked like 20 yards away is so obnoxious.
I've also seen monks use Ring of Peace to put down on the side that's towards another pack. So he has to get knocked that direction and get bounced back the proper direction, which is
it's like a bumper, like you're bowling with the bumpers.
That's right,
in the gutters.
Yeah, exactly. As far as the horrific visions go, Nemesis shards are now warbound and can be mailed to you if you miss looting them. Performing a full clear now also grants incremental progress, which is big. Fixed a bug where in some very rare cases players could receive corrupted mementos instead of displaced corrupted mementos, so people getting the OG currency, which I love that was happening for some people. And constructs of Siradormi will no longer try to join a full group if she was summoned previously. So that was apparently something that was causing some bugs. So good fixes for horrific visions. Glad to see it. I love that people are getting old currency. I think that's hilarious. The items rewards, they did the runes disappear. The rune dispenser should now dispense the intended quantity of crystallized augment runes based on the Galagio loyalties reward rank. So as your rank goes up, you're now getting the proper amount of rewards. So that is also fixed for folks who are remembering to use the rune dispenser, which I am not one of. I keep forgetting to actually click the thing, so need to do that.
I think I forgot last week. But I remember the week that we unlocked you have a chance to get more than one. And nobody on my team got more than one. Or it was actually they changed it so you could get more than one, but you definitely not get a loser ticket, right? Like you definitely get at least one rune, but you could get more. And we had people still getting loser tickets that week. So because we even
Typical goblins, man. Typical goblins.
Right? Yeah, exactly. The nerds among us were like, everybody, don't click the thing yet. We're gonna get the renown rank. So after we kill some bosses,
Right.
then we'll come back and do it, and then we'll get better stuff. And
Yeah.
then we didn't get better stuff. So hopefully this is good now.
Yeah. All right. Puzzling Cartel chip catch up. This is something that a lot of people have been asking for. This is not a condiment. This is the actual system that they put in place to allow you to get back on top of your Puzzling Cartel chips if you are someone who missed a week, which is why I emphasized I dislike weekly things. So this is, again, so coming on my birthday, June 10th, there's this reset this week. They're going to have players who have not completed the weekly quest Turbo Boost Powerhouse challenges every week can now repeat the quest to catch it up. So their catch-up mechanic is you kill 4 bosses, you hearth from the raid, you turn in your quest, you pick up the new quest, you go back into the raid, you kill 4 more bosses. Or you do 4 Mythic Pluses, you turn in the quest, you pick up the quest, you go back out, you do more Mythic Pluses. That is the current system that they have. It is a system, and I am glad that it exists as a catch-up. I don't think this is the best way to implement it, but that's fine. This is just the system that they have. Think about this, where we could get 3 more weeks in, or 2 more weeks, let's get 2 more weeks in, and someone comes in and goes, okay, I ran 4 Mythic Plus dungeons, turned in the quest, picked up another one, ran 4 more Mythic Plus dungeons, turned in the quest, picked up, read 4 more Mythic Plus dungeons, turned in the quest. You keep doing that to try and catch up on the system, because that's what ends up being. And I will say this pairs very nicely with people who are trying to get Gilded Crests and catch up, because you're now like 700 Gilded Crests behind. So that's a lot of dungeons. So like if you're trying to catch up gear wise with Gilded Crests, this really pairs nicely on just really bang your head against the wall of Mythic Plus when it comes to catch-up mechanics. I'm happy there is one. I feel like we could have better implemented ones for both Gilded Crests as well as for this.
I couldn't agree more. This is not going to turn into one of those episodes.
No,
okay? Don't worry. This is a good idea wrapped in a bad idea. It's like a late season X-Files episode, right? It's just that there's a good nugget kernel of something in there, just in layers of bad ideas. This system stinks, and it's unconscionable that they put it in without a catch-up mechanic in the first place, and this catch-up mechanic stinks, but at least it's there. Remember how bronze worked? And like if you were behind, you just you take your alt to raid cleanup, and you kill a boss and you get a whole bunch of bronze off of it. Like, why does you just do it once and catch? It's a time gate, right? That's just call it what it is. That's the whole way that the chips work, and you got to get 3 of them to buy 1 item. Like, that doesn't make any sense either, but it's all to just gate it with time. And that's so okay. If the amount of time has elapsed, why doesn't this work like the Catalyst does? The amount of time elapses, everybody's at the same level. Could have just done it like that. Could have just done 1 cartel chip equals 1 item you can buy, and then a quest comes out every 3 weeks, and they have different names, so you can get them concurrently or whatever. You know what I mean? You get them side by side because it's 3 different quest names or what. There's many different ways you could do this that would get the same effect. This if you're behind, if the tunes that I'm behind on, I'm just never going to do this. I don't do dungeons on my monk. What am I going to do? Do 12 dungeons when I never do any? No, but it's there if you need it, at least starting with maintenance this week, which is better than just being well, I just have to wait. And this is also the fact that at the end of it, you get a Puzzling Cartel chip, which on my main, I don't even need anymore. And even on some of the alts, I don't really know what I'd spend them on. So that's a whole other thing. This is better than it being the way that it was, but I wish they would have just been more generous with the fix.
Yeah, I don't blame you for wanting to be more generous with the fix. I do think that there'd be a huge excitement among people who have alternate characters if it was a one-time thing, because I think you'd see a lot of people being willing to run 4 Mythic Plus dungeons or kill 4 bosses to get 3 chips and be able to buy 3 pieces of gear to really boost their character up in power with what they're doing. And this is why I spoke to the Gilded Crest catch-up, because you need so many Gilded Crests to actually get these items leveled up that you're getting from these sorts of things, and you're so far behind the curve of where everyone else who's been playing consistently is at with Gilded Crest. You're hundreds and hundreds of Gilded Crest behind. That getting those 3 pieces just helps put people into a place where, hey, guess what? You're feeling more close to where the actual average person who's been playing is at. You're not caught up to them, but like if you just gave the 3 tokens for killing 4 bosses or doing the 4 Mythic Plus, you're at least making sure that 3 of the spaces in their gear, in their whole, catch-up mechanic is where it should be, right? That's a nice factor of this. So I feel like that would help, but yeah, I don't. Overall, it's something I'm glad is in the game. I'm with you that I think they could have some better catch-up mechanics overall for this patch. Okay, Legacy of Aerythor goes live on June 17th. So this is the patch for 1.11.1.7, and it's going to be coming out a week from Tuesday. So folks that are excited to get their belts and everything, this is the patch. And we actually got blog posts explaining what's happening with these things. So
thank you. Publishing department.
Yes, thank you very much. Take your adventures further in the Legacy of Aerythor beginning June 17th. You'll amp up the challenge in Overcharged Delves, go lore walking with Loraker Cho, and get a helping hand with a new combat assistant and single button rotation, and more. Dance Studio? No, I don't know. New Arathi Highlands campaign. They're basically going to throw a new campaign in for the Arathi Highlands stuff so that people can get in there and check out the hostility between the 2 factions in this multi-quest campaign that you get to sort of see different points of view and new 2-chapter storytelling sort of branching viewpoints thing that they're doing, which is going to be neat. Players can get Alliance players get a Stromgarde tabard, Horde players get a Maghar tabard, and there's a shoulder transmog inspired by Farron's shoulders. So if that's something you'll want to get, that's something you can do with 11.1.7 when it pops out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Like we were talking earlier about like kind of where is the story going? Well, this should kind of push us in that direction, right? And this is sort of like there's some unfinished business here from BFA, right? Like obviously the war is over, but I mean some stuff went down in the Arathi Highlands. I don't know. I don't think I have a Horde character at 80. And I want to do this because I want a Maghar tabard because I think the Maghar orcs are really cool.
Yeah.
And I want to see what the other side of the story is. So I might not do that in the wake of the patch coming out, but if the Mysterious Fortune comes back for leveling, that gives me a little light bulb goes on like, oh, I should level up and check out the Arathi Highlands campaign Horde side.
Well, the exciting thing about this is the type of stuff that doesn't go away at the end of a patch, right? So this is not, when season ends or whatever it is, you're not going to lose access to be able to do this. So if you want to level a character who's a Maghar later on and just, or Horde side later on and just go in and get this tabard, you can. It'll just be around. It's not something that's going to like, as far as we know, go away at any point this expansion. So I would expect that you can experience that for a while. Lore walking with Loraker Cho. This is going back and visiting previous experiences. There's 3 quests that you're going to be able to experience in this. One is Xal'atath, and it's about Xal'atath. One is about Ethereals, and one is about the Lich King, Arthas Menethil. So you can check those out. I don't want to spoil anything or even read their little blurbs that they put about them because I want people to just be like, oh, I want to learn more about Xal'atath or the Ethereals or, see what they did with the Lich King stuff. Go on a little touring adventure with Loraker Cho and check those things out. I think that would be cool for folks to do. So we've got that in the blog as well as Overcharged Delves. So this is a little bit more intense, right? So they're introducing new delve specific affixes to 6 delves for you to push new feats of heroism. Fungal's Folly, Kriegwald's Rest, Nightfall Sanctum, Skittering Breach, Spiral Weave, and Side Street Sluice are all going to have their own overcharged version, and you'll be able to get in there and earn yourself some new gear and like an overcharged mech suit mount and some more Delves currency, and I assume probably more rep for brand if your brand isn't maxed out yet. And the more important thing is the Titan Disc Belt. So you unlock the Titan Disc Belt at the start of this event and you upgrade it through a weekly quest, which hopefully will have a cap and some sort of catch-up mechanic built into it. But we're going to find out what they choose to do.
Let's just make sure the catch-up mechanic is in there now. Blizz, if anyone is listening, if you didn't double check that there's a catch-up mechanic on the quest line for the belt, I don't know how many weeks it is. Just make sure that people can do it all in one play session if they're behind. Thank you.
Yeah. So yes, the belt unlock is at the beginning of this. So there's new UI options coming in as well. There's a blog post about the belt we're going to get to in a bit. So we'll talk more about the belt soon. But there's new UI options coming in with the combat assistant and the single button assistant. I saw someone putting up videos of them playing their druid with a controller with the one button assistant and being like, this is so crazy and easy and it's so good and da. And I was like, it is, except remember, there's a lot of buttons on some characters. Why did you choose druid to make this your demonstration? It has the most buttons of any. Pick hunter, go to a warrior, choose these classes that have few buttons that need to be pressed on a regular basis to choose to do this, because you will need to use, if you're trying to do a controller stuff, you will need to use like your trigger keys to like change to different keyboards, basically different action bars, to be able to actually press all the buttons you need to press with some classes. So be aware of that. It is a lot easier though, because you can just put your one button assistant on X or A or whatever you want to be on your controller and just press that one button over and over and over and over again and be totally fine when it comes to a rotation. So that the accessibility is there. That is something for folks to check out. Right now, what I just described will need an add-on to assist you, because there isn't just like really good baseline, good controller support for World of Warcraft, but that is something that is possible for people to do. So that is coming in. It is certainly something that I'm going to have some alts that I just throw this button on. Absolutely. There's classes where I'm like, I have not played this class very much this expansion. I leveled this alt because I needed professions, and I just kind of, didn't bother looking up a lot of proper rotation things. I'm going to just throw this button on those characters, and when they're out in the world doing what they want to do, I'll just press the one button rotation and it'll be easy and I won't have to think about it, and I'm not going to stress over it. The only thing that would stop me from doing that is if the global cooldown thing was actually noticeable enough for me to be like, this feels boring, because I'm literally pressing one button and then having to sit around waiting before something else happens because this global cooldown's so long. But I don't think 0.3 seconds is something I'm going to notice and feel.
Especially a character you're not used to playing, right?
Exactly.
And whose stats you're not familiar with. Like I would probably notice 0.3 seconds on my main, because I'm set up for haste, and I have I kind of know it's a way that it feels to play, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so playing a character you're not familiar with, you're not going to get that. Plus, if you're like leveling up or stuff, you're doing simple stuff, your stats are going to change a lot, because you're going to get gear that is in a big upgrade or like replaces stats or whatever. So I think it'll feel good for that stuff. I mean, I think this is a great feature. It's huge for accessibility. Like, mapping it to a controller or to some other kind of device that's maybe, less complex to use than a mouse and keyboard is great. I think it opens the game up to, all kinds of different play styles, and to maybe people who couldn't really enjoy it to the fullest before. I have no intention of like using this for the characters that I am familiar with and that I typically play. I think actually it would probably mess me up more than anything. But when I think about, okay, do I want to level more characters or, anything like that? Well, then it becomes really attractive. I mean, I remember doing the pre-expansion event for War Within. We had that. It was the Azeroth memories would come out, and you'd have like these little zones to go around, and it was a bonanza for leveling. I leveled like all my characters, like dozens of characters, and I don't know how to play most of these classes, and I would have to spend half an hour just setting up bars. Okay, how does this class work? What's the rotation like? What's the priority system? What spells do I have? And then how does that work with the talents, and where does that go, and how does it feel good for me to have set up? Obviously, like, you have to put that work in if you want to play the game at a high level. But if you just want to go kill mobs in the outdoor world, you can just do this, and I think that'll be awesome. I could definitely see myself using it for those types of situations. I don't want to learn anything today. I just want to go shoot monsters. That's when I'm in that kind of mood, or if there's some event in the game that I want to do with characters I don't normally play, I think it'll be incredible for me. And that's not even the level of the accessibility, the on-ramp for people to be able to play how they want to play is huge.
Sorry, I realized I was muted. Yeah, I definitely think that the accessibility is critical when it comes to people being able to play the way they want to play, as well as people who just have, I know one of the good friends of mine who I play games with regularly just had surgery for carpal tunnel on one of his hands, and he's going to do it on the other hand soon. Him still being able to log in and play World of Warcraft because he can do a one button rotation is like critical for him to be able to continue to play the game while he recovers from the surgery. And that to me is really cool that they're adding in features that would allow someone to be like, yeah, I can still kind of functionally play the game, even though I'm injured or I have a disability or there's an accessibility issue, whatever that is really cool. So I'm super supportive of this idea, as long as, and I always threw this caveat, as long as they get the balance right with that 0.3 seconds thing, as long as they get that balance right, super supportive of this idea. Okay, Turbulent Timeways. This is also kicking off then. This is why I mentioned it earlier in the show. Week 1, Battle for Azeroth, that's going to be the 17th. So when this goes live, it's going to span 6 weeks. It's going to go BFA, Mists of Pandaria, Burning Crusade, Warlords of Draenor, Legion, and then BFA again. So if you missed the first week, you can catch it in the last week. You'll need to do Time Walking Dungeons for 5 of these weeks in order to get all of the reward that you want to get for doing this. All right. So keep that in mind. So this is one of those weekly things I mentioned where if you miss one, you're okay. But if you miss 2, then you're in trouble. So you gotta plan your life out a little bit if you're trying to get all the rewards for this. But if you master the Timeways, you do get the Chrono Corsair Skyriding Mount, which is the pirate dragon that you can ride around. So great reward for people. There will be obviously time walking vendors that will pop up that allow you to actually buy things from that time walking vendor. And the reason why we're getting BFA twice is because it's the first round where we actually see time walking BFA. This is the launch of time walking BFA. So we're going to have Ataldazar, Freehold, King's Rest, Shrine of the Storms, Temple of Sothralis, Waycrest Manor, all available for you. These amazing dungeons available for you to run. Temple of Sothralis, but whatever. So for you to run.
The eyeball part, dude. The eyeball part's going to be a blast.
And just the first boss. On that on High Mythic Plus, the first boss was crazy on High Mythic Plus. So I don't know. I feel like the balance needs to be there for Temple of Sothralis to be fun. But anyways, you can earn rewards. There's going to be a vendor for BFA rewards, and you're going to be able to buy vendor rewards. And so part of the reason why you get it sandwiched with BFA at the start and finish is if when it first comes in, there's rewards you want to buy, you can buy them. If there's rewards you see on the vendor in the first week that you want, you can then spend the next 5 weeks farming for those rewards if that's what you want to do. So that's why it comes around at the end. And that's really a smart idea. I like that they do that. And I'm looking forward to some Turbulent Timeways. I really enjoyed it the last time I was around, doing it every week to be able to get that benefit. So certainly get your mount, get your rewards, enjoy your time walking stuff. And typically, from what we see in Turbulent Timeways, leads into the next season. So, if we're talking, how this works, we're looking at early August for season 3 for this expansion. So this is the clock sort of starting for a lot of people. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, it could be. Normally, it's weird. We haven't seen it before come in with a .7 launch. It usually starts like a couple weeks later. So we'll have to see what how it all times out. And also, this is the first time we've had a new time walking expansion in years.
Yeah.
It used to come in, a lot more close to the release of the expansion than this one did. So it's been a while. And so before, this is also, I think, the first time they've done it this way where one is cycling in at the beginning and at the end of the event. But I think that's great to do since we're, debuting BFA here. I guess we did just have classic time walking, but that's not an expansion, whatever. You know what I mean? The normal cadence for BFA, it should have come in Shadowlands, and Shadowlands was 2 expansions ago now. So it's been a long time since they kind of mixed up the rotation with that. I think these are some really great dungeons. I mean, I have really fond memories of Ataldazar, Freehold, really cool dungeons.
Waycrest Manor, man. Oh.
Yeah, Waycrest is awesome. I love Shrine of the Storm as like a vibe. It was a really hard dungeon in content, but I love the storytelling in Shrine of the Storm. So really, it's a cool slate of dungeons, and this is by far the best Turbulent Timeways mount reward that they've done. I've never done the other ones for a variety of reasons, either I just couldn't because I wasn't around, or some other thing was going on, or last time it was just I don't want to fly around on a bee. That's not what I'm trying to do. This time, this is the Infinite Pirate Dragon thing. Got to have that for sure. This is we are getting the retooled difficulty scaling with this, so we'll see how it feels. I will take a wait and see. I mean, we talked about it a lot in the show, so we're not going to get into it, but hopefully the tuning feels good. I mean, if it feels like WoW combat, WoW combat feels good, right? So if we're fighting and it's if it's a match made kind of level thing, it should be fine. It's just a lot of information to absorb. You know, it's a lot of different bosses that you don't normally see, stuff like that. So we'll see how it feels, but I'm looking forward to. I'm going to do it. I want the reward. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to do them.
I am just hoping that this does not come in with scaling to people's tabards and their shirts. Okay, that's my biggest thing that I'm hoping for with Time Walking. It's using the new scaling system that came in with Dastardly Duos, and there were people who were queuing into Dastardly Duos who were being one-shot and not knowing why, and then realizing that when they moused over the buff at the top saying they were being scaled down, that they're being scaled down to item level 1, because that was the lowest piece of gear they were wearing, which was their shirt or their tabard. And yeah, that was a big no-no. That was a big flub. Lots of people didn't know how to fix it because they didn't know why it was happening until someone discovered if they took off their tabard and their shirt and then queued in, suddenly they queued in properly. So hopefully we don't have anything like that happening inside of Time Walking. It'd be very wonky and weird, but I guess Dastardly Duos did us a favor by coming out when it did, because it would have most likely come in that way with Time Walking if it uses the exact same system. So yeah, that's gone away. All right. The Diablo Anniversary event is also coming up and coming in with this patch. The Greedy Emissary is returning. It's going to be on July 1st, so it's going to be a couple weeks after the launch of this patch. We're going to have the Greedy Emissary buff happen, which means there's all the extra Greedy Emissaries you can find in Stormwind and Orgrimmar and Dornogal and Undermine, so that you can go around and get yourself... I think it's recolors of tier 2 armor sets is something you can get, as well as all the diabolical rewards, which are like... I think you can still get the Herodric Cube. I think you can still get a bunch of other stuff that's neat that was based around the Diablo events. So if you're someone who wants to participate in that, I do. I like these crossovers. I'll actually be logging into Diablo 4 to do some of the crossover stuff there with the anniversary stuff they're doing. So it's going to be fun to get all these rewards during this period of time. Last time there was like a week aura that tracked which place it was going to spawn in next. There was a lot of like, you could kill the one inside of the main city, like inside Stormwind, and then you could actually join a group that was still killing it in another city, and then get over there and get like 2 kills inside one window of time, and try and get basically be greedy with your Greedy Emissary, which I think makes sense, and try and get all the rewards that you want to get. So yeah, I'm excited for this. Along with this event, they're also providing a collector's bounty buff, which will help people in the hunt for legacy loot, increasing drop rates on content throughout Azeroth. So I'm hoping that this is like your shoulders off of, Garrosh Hellscream. I'm hoping this is certain mounts dropping off world bosses. I'm hoping this is mounts dropping out of certain raids and cosmetics dropping out of certain raids. I hope all that stuff is just boosted by like a substantial number for folks to be able to take advantage of this during this event. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, we don't really have any firm details on it, but you got to think it would be something like that, right? Like, What's the point if it's just like, oh, you get more pieces of loot, which you probably already have the transmog for or whatever. I don't know. At this point, like with Warband's been out for a year, if you've been farming it, you could get a ton. So hopefully, yeah, it's specifically on those like low drop chance items, and that would be really cool. I think having like a holiday around, okay, go run old raids, try to get mount drops, whatever, or like special items. I think there's something cool about that. So we'll have to just stay tuned for details on that. Yeah, I'll definitely be gunning for the tier 2 recolors. There's some really good ones. I love the warrior one for sure. I assume that it'll be on that kind of timer, right? It's like, okay, it's time to go kill the treasure goblin, which is a bit annoying.
It's every 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, like our schedule's pretty full with those timer events as it is, but I'll be making it a point to do that. At least I don't know how difficult it's going to be to collect all the class armors. I got all of them. I mean, I got everything from the 20th anniversary event. So I'd like to get the recolors of all the class sets, but we'll see. I have a kind of a priority system of like what I play the most, and then what I think looks the coolest, and go through. So depending on how difficult it is to collect them, we'll approach it that way. But tier 2 is just like one of the best tiers, top to bottom, they ever did, I think, for armor design, and more options to like have those looks, I think is really cool. So I'll be in there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something that I'm doing and participating in and looking forward to do. All right. talking a little bit more about these overcharged delves. All right, there was a blog post that came out. Thank you again for getting us this information early, so that people could actually figure out a little bit more about this. So, power up with the Titan machinery to explore the new depths and face new challenges within the 6 delves throughout Khazalgar in the Legacy of Aerothor content update. You'll be able to amp up the challenge with a new delve-specific affix and earn some shiny loot. 2 bountiful delves each day will feature the overcharged affix. Overcharged affix. These delves can be completed as many times as you like. Delves are easily identifiable on the map with a little added spark to the icon that's there. To get started, you can pick up the first short chain. Titan Rumblings is the quest you're picking up from the Adventure Journal, and then you can continue on through speaking through Dagran Thracian II in Dornogal for the Titan Consoles quest to unlock the Overcharged Console. Completing this quest chain will provide the Durable Information Storage Container belt. Wearing this belt alone provides additional stat bonuses along with the prismatic slot. In addition, there are miniature Titan discs that can be added to the belt. I'm now picturing a belt with like large vinyl records attached to the front of it that you're just stacking vinyl records on like you would at a jukebox, you know? That's what I'm now picturing that. Anyways.
That is a huge belt.
Huge belt.
Those are some massive pants that those belt's holding up.
Yep. Wearing this belt alone provides additional stat bonuses along with the prismatic socket. There are miniature Titan discs that can be added to the belt, which are found at the end of select delves. As you progress through the delve, you will also be able to collect Titan disc shards to reforge them into Titan discs, to use the overcharged console to unlock powerful boons. The boons, champion. All right. Durable Information Storage Container, the DISC, if you will, is what this stands for, or is the short form for it, is a powerful belt which provides some additional benefits to the wearer. Once you've obtained your new item, you'll be able to continue working on item level upgrades for it by completing tasks for Dagran. Each week, a new quest is available with an overcharged chest that contains a champion level piece. Dagran will also help you craft a Titan memory card over the first 4 weeks of the quest completions, and that will allow you to boost the item level up to 699 on this belt. As you progress through various delves, you will collect miniature Titan discs, which empower your belt further. To activate one of these abilities, you will need to use the belt while equipped. You can access the interface menu, blah, 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 and bind that, whatever you want to bind it, but yes, just keep that in mind. There's going to be an interface menu that lets you also select which power you want to use. So you select which power you want to use. I imagine people will just be putting their belt onto their bar somewhere as like, I press button 8, and that's going to cue my belt to trigger. So just that most likely is how people are going to do it. You will automatically begin with 2 of these miniature disc fragments when you first gain your new belt. Additional miniature disc fragments can be found in other delves, though these delves don't need to be overcharged in order for you to collect them from the chest. So you can run any delve to get that. They don't say whether or not it needs to be a bountiful or not. They just say it doesn't need to be overcharged. So keep that in mind. I'm not sure which one it's going to be.
Yeah, it sounds to me like the discs are tied to a specific location. So as long as you complete that location, you can get it. So you'll just have to probably look. I'm sure there'll be guides up very early in the week of like where everything comes from. Because you only can pick one disc to put in the belt, right? Like you only have one active effect at a time. So you probably want to just figure out, okay, which 1 or 2 or 3 do I want to use for different situations? Go figure out which delves they come from. And then even if they're not bountiful, overcharged that day, go get them.
You don't need to figure out which delves they come from. They actually, they say in here that to see which delves have the miniature discs you need, you can mouse over the listed powers to learn more. So that I guess, yeah. If you're someone who wants to actually know what's going on, you open up the interface. You go, I need these 3 because that's what Wowhead Guide or whatever it is says you want to do. Be aware, Wowhead Guides are not always right, so just be cautious with that. Talk with friends who are out DPSing
do your own simming and.
Yep. Well, but also just in general, like if you're in a raid and there's another hunter in that raid who's out DPSing you on your hunter, message the hunter and be like, hey, I think it's really cool that you're doing so much damage. I'd like to too. What are you doing differently? And I'm sure they will have some advice, but in general, you can also just inspect that person and be like, what do you have in your belt versus what's in my belt? And then look at those things. There's really basic ways that don't involve like going to Warcraft logs or like simming or whatever to do things that are just in the game that you can just message someone and ask a question. That is a fine thing to do in a massively multiplayer online game.
You can't just communicate with another player.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, one thing on the system, I just want to chime in before we get into the nitty gritty. Like, I do really like the fact that the UI is very self-contained. This is not, it's not Cersei Circlet. It's not the stuff we had in like Shadowlands where you'd have the tool to like pick the stuff out of things and move it around. Like, you don't need to carry around the citrines like we just had with the ring, and it's like, okay, I need to swap these out. This is like, okay, all you have is the belt, and then when you learn the discs, you learn them. It's almost like the essences were on your neck in mid to late BFA, where it's like you can, you just have that stuff there.
Yeah.
And then you can select whatever you've learned and you can activate that. So that's like a much cleaner implementation than what we've seen on some of these items in the past. I really appreciate that element of it. I don't want extra stuff in my bags.
Yeah, no. All right. As far as the nitty gritty, as you said, goes, you're only able to activate one Titan disc at a time to get its benefit. Charge bolts is one of the benefits. Your spells and abilities have a chance to turn you into a lightning rod, striking a random enemy target within 40 yards with nature damage every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. Cauterizing bolts. This is another ability where your spells have a chance to turn you into a lightning. Oh, sorry, it's the same write up, but it's now cauterizing bolts. Instead, it's of striking enemies. It now strikes a lowest health target and heals them within that same 40-yard range every 3 seconds. So there's a DPS version, a healing version of that same lightning thing. One's charged, one's cauterizing. Charge crystal. Your spells and abilities have a chance to send a charge bolt at your target that deals nature damage split between the target and enemies within 8 yards. And charge touch. Your healing spells have a chance to spark, jumping to the lowest health ally within 40 yards and healing them. I feel like that's going to be one of the default ones right there. That sounds really good. Critical chain. Your spells and abilities have a chance to trigger a critical overload, increasing your critical strike every 2 seconds for 20 seconds. Electric current. Your electric current, you gain an electric current upon entering combat, increasing your mastery by 10 every 2 seconds up to a maximum of 24 seconds, then cycling back down and repeating. That sounds really strong. Energy shield. When you take damage, you have a chance to gain a Titan energy shield, preventing damage for 10 seconds. When the shield expires, it deals 30% of the remaining absorb as arcane damage split amongst all enemies within 8 yards. Spark burst. Your spells and abilities have a chance to trigger a spark burst, granting you haste for 20 seconds. And static charge. Your spells and abilities have a chance to grant you a static charge, increasing your versatility for 30 seconds. Each of your next spells and abilities reduce the versatility bonus by 5%. That's also a really nice one as well. So, although you could chew through that really fast with some classes, but how fast they cast. So overall, they have something here for, like, you got haste, mastery, crit, versatility, all represented in these different buffs. So people will be able to pick if there's a particular secondary stat that's really strong for them. And then the healing ones where it's just static healing and static damage that you can have done as well. So lots of options here. I love all these options because there's a lot here that you can do stuff with. I do feel like things like static charge could be tricky where it's like, hey, if you're someone who casts things really fast, you're just never going to want to use this because you're going to basically eat through your benefit really quickly. So keep that in mind when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah, if you're playing like a rogue or enhancement shaman or something, then your static charge may just kind of disappear. But some cool options. Like the designs here are pretty straightforward. I think they're pretty easy to understand for the most part. The tuning is ultimately going to be the question. I like the idea of this. Where my mind goes is we are already at a point in this season where the content is feeling very easy for a lot of players, right? Like we have the zone buff and the raid, we got the turbo boost item level, all that stuff. I don't really think like the greater corruption and chance on the helm have felt impactful. Like I don't really notice it. I have it. I know it's there. It's ticking away, but it's like I don't. So is this gonna feel impactful? Like Cersei Circlet when we got it. Now, granted, they did a big tuning pass right before Cersei Circlet came out, right? And they buffed up some of the effects quite a bit. Cersei Circlet was impactful, especially on low gear characters. Like my alts were in pretty bad gear at the end of season 1. It was a big boon to them. Is this going to feel like anything? Is kind of my question. Okay. With all of the stuff we've had layered on in season 2, right? But all with the .5 patch and all the stuff that's come in, is this going to land, and are you going to know that you have this on? Is it going to feel like anything at all in content against what we're playing? And I think that's probably a tough line for them to walk right now with all the stuff that they've done over the course of the season. So we'll see. I'm getting the impression right now this stuff is tuned to be kind of minor, which is kind of a bummer, but also like, what do we even need it for in a lot of cases, right? So that's what I'll be trying to assess once we get these in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yep. And then along with that, obviously I mentioned boons earlier, and you mentioned a boon just now. Their boons are actually inside of like almost a progressive unlock system where they have a first row through seventh row. And as you sort of unlock these further slots of boons, you gain more and more of these passive kind of benefits to what you're doing. So players can unlock additional boons from the Overcharged Titan console to help them through the delve. You collect 100 disc fragments to create one Titan disc. Each rank in the Titan console requires one disc to unlock. And the first row is like, hey, you get this big burst of damage that happens and stuns enemies at a chance that can happen, as well as suffering damage as a chance to conjure a storm around you that does a bunch of damage to things. And you just sort of like pick your first row and then work your way through the system. I haven't actually looked at the talent tree to know like whether or not I can spec into... Oh yeah, you can totally spec into the whole tree. So you'll be able to unlock this whole tree eventually. It's not like a choice between them. So yeah, so that just confirmed that for me, which is good, which means that you aren't going to have to choose between, hey, I want to, choose the left option or the right option. It's literally, you're going to unlock the whole tree. It's the same thing as Horrific Visions when you're unlocking that tree. It's a very similar system. So you'll eventually get like increased mastery, increased stamina, increased intellect. These will all be just passive things that you gain. You'll have increase damage over time damage. You'll have suffering damage, like reduces damage you take. There's a lot of benefits inside of this system. So people are going to be all over unlocking that because it sounds super strong for this. This also sounds like a system that they can turn off in season 2 if they want to.
Right. Yeah. I assume that the console's not going to carry over after season 2 ends, right? Like I think this is just for like because we'll have all new delves or at least probably new storylines and stuff and whatever. But yeah, I mean, anytime I see like, oh, this is like more damage in delves, it definitely like raises an eyebrow for me because, man, I've been decently consistent even still with delves, with at least getting 3 done for the week, get the Gilded Crest out for the alts or whatever, and it gets sloggy sometimes, even if it's not like challenging. I'm just getting bored waiting for stuff to die playing solo tank, so hopefully like the extra damage bonuses feel strong, like the procs and stuff, like if they're good, then that'll really be nice, and the extra stats are great. Like I mean, in season 1 I fell off doing delve super hard. I did them a lot at first, and then the benefits really started evaporating and I just stopped doing them on any tunes at all. And this season hasn't really been like that. And I think this is good timing for this stuff to roll in because it's like, oh, well, there's still stuff to go earn. There's still reasons to go do it. I think that's cool. I want to do them. Delves was a feature I was really looking forward to after the BlizzCon announcement. I thought that it had some real potential.
Yep.
It's still a very new system, and there's still a lot of learning that they need to do about like developing it. But season 2 has been such a massive step forward even from season 1. So I think they're great. I'm really looking forward to this and unlocking. I want to unlock everything. I want to get even stuff I'm not going to use for the belt. I want to get the whole tech tree done, and just whatever else there is to do. Like it seems like a cool thing to do. Like for that last part of the .1 cycle, right? To have something really delve specific to just pump all that stuff up, because it falls off harder than the other modes because its ceiling is lower.
Yeah, it does for sure. Okay, along with that, each overcharged delve tier is also going to provide additional rewards. These rewards can vary depending on how many lives you've lost in the delve, so keep that in mind. Dying subtracts from the lives remaining counter, which influences at the end of the delve itself. So just if you're somebody trying to get all the rewards, deathless runs is part of that whole deal about getting the rewards. What sort of rewards are we talking about? Well, there's obviously the standard delve rewards you'll be getting, as well as there's more you can gain from these things, along with like achievements. And there's a new mount and toy. The OC91 Chariot mount is something that you can earn. This is essentially the Titan Disc console. You purchase enough Titan Disc to unlock all the skills in the console, and you get a mount, as well as the redeployable module toy. which is completing 4 out of the 6 overcharged delves that they put out. You get this toy from that too. And then of course there's just the end of delve rewards that you're going to want to pay attention to too. So yeah, that's the system. That's what they got. And man, it's going to be a big power spike. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially like for inside the delves themselves once you get that console going. And the mount is awesome. It's sort of it's like the mount from Keystone Master Season 1, that like diamond mech suit, but reskinned to look a little more Titany, and it's got some additional little doodads on it. So it's really awesome looking, and if you missed out on the Season 1 mount from Keystone Master, then this is good news for you because you can get something even better for doing the delve stuff. I love that mount, and I used it as soon as I unlocked it for the entire rest of the season. I think this one's even better. And then, I guess the toy is like, it's a Hearthstone, which is not like the most exciting thing in the universe, but if it has that cool kind of Titany technological bent to it, then that's always kind of cool. They've done some cool stuff with those. So, just a little bit of stuff, I think, for everybody, right? If you're not a delver, then you can get in, figure out like, okay, which disc do I need, or 2 or whatever. This is how I'm going to play. I'm going to get those. I'll do the quest every week so I can get up to 699 item level, and then I'm done. If you're a delver, there's all kinds of stuff for you to do here. And if there's a collector, it's like, well, you got to get like most of the way through the system, but not all. You don't have to grind it, right? Yeah. Like you have to get in there and do stuff, and you can get your mount and you can get your toy, and then you have the stuff to collect. So I dig it. I hope that they feel good to play. The delve reworks that they did with the existing stuff in Season 2, I think mostly came out really well. So I think they've been moving in a good direction with delves, and hopefully whatever the affix is and however these delves are reconfigured is in line with that. So and I would like to see buffs to the belt effects, because the belt should feel like we're getting an upgrade, right? If you're going to add these little limited time kind of spiky power items that are sort of, in previous years, maybe an entire expansion would be built around a thing like this, right? Or a similar idea to it. If you're going to put them in, I feel like they should have high impact, and if this comes in and it doesn't feel like, if I don't know I have it equipped, then what is the point of it, right? So it sounds like the tuning is not quite on that level at this point, and hopefully it gets there. That runs into the question of, well, what if it's too strong in Season 3? But they can always nerf stuff or put in better items. Sure. Like that's also a possibility. So I'm just hoping that it feels high impact. I want it to be something cool. Like I want to have a cool thing. I want other players to feel like they're getting a cool thing. So hopefully that's where it lands.
Yeah. Okay, so they did a lore walking blog, and I don't want to dive too deep into the lore walking blog, but I do want people to know the requirements. So players level 10 and above can access the 3 storylines. That's the requirement, right? So when they talk about eligible players, they're talking about players who are level 10 and above. So eligible players are able to begin a lore walking journey with quests from Lore Walking Show. His location will be marked as lore walking, so you'll basically be able to find him on the map by just going to that, as far as lore walking goes. There's a small open book quest that you'll get if you want to actually, the quest icon you can get that will let you actually find out where he is. So if you're wanting to do that, you just got to find that icon. Speaking with Lore Walking Show, will open a series of sort of selection screens where you can choose which storyline you want to explore, either the Xal'atath one, the Ethereals one, or the Lich King one. Each of these series provides additional rewards beyond Golden Experience. You actually get a Echo of Xal'atath, Blade of the Black Empire. You get like that actual sort of like you get to call upon a memory of this defeated foe, which is cool. You get a Koresh memory crystal, and you can take on the appearance of Koreshi. And you get a Royal Visage, which is a remembrance of the tale of Arthas. So that is those are things that you can get. So that sounds like a toy to me, the Royal Visage. These also are toys to me.
Really, these are really cool rewards. Yeah. Like this is a thing that's not going to give you character power and is very story focused. So it's not going to be like some kind of intense challenge to engage in with your party of seasoned adventurers. No. But the rewards are so evocative of these different things, right? Yeah, I think the Koresh memory crystal, it turns you into like an ethereal, basically, right? And the Royal Visage, I think, turns you into like sort of that ghostly version of Arthas that's halfway between like human Prince Arthas and Lich King Arthas, like Death Knight kind of.
Yeah.
It's like that in that realm. And what I gather from the way they describe the Echo of Xal'atath is, I never had this experience because I
played a Shadow Priest, man. I was there. I did that.
Right. Yeah, like I assume it's that where like the blade like talks to you when you kill stuff, which is I think it's awesome for that effect to like live again. If you can, if that's just like a buff you can put on yourself for 10 minutes or whatever. What a cool idea for a toy, and what a cool way to kind of distribute it. So yeah, I mean, like this is the thing. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I'll probably check it out. But then I saw what the rewards were. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm doing each of these, once through for sure.
They also mention here that you can do these experiences as many times as you want, but please note that while you're lore walking, you won't be able to undertake or progress through any other quests outside of lore walking. You can pause lore walking and return to it at any time you want to along your journey, but you just keep in mind it's sort of like the when you talk to one of the Chrono Dragons and they change a zone for you to the old zone, right? You can't do the new quests in the zone because you can't see them, so you can't participate in them because you're in the old zone and you have to change which time you're in. Similar thing with lore walking, so just keep that in mind when you're going to be doing the lore walking stuff. I'm excited for that to come out. It's going to be neat. I like these rewards. I think that was probably the coolest thing. One of the coolest things they did with BFA was having like all the priests in your raid just being like, why am I getting like whispers from people? And like, what is happening? And it was just literally the item you're carrying around. I think that's a really neat thing that they did. So, yeah, that was, it was BFA. They did that, but then it was Legion Legendary was where that was happening too. Yeah.
Yeah. There was like the BFA quest line where Xal'atath like had broken out of the blade or whatever. And then it was Xal'atath appears in the Crucible thing. And then you could like, you had that whatever it was, that like eyeball that would sit on your head and that would talk to you. I don't remember the specifics now. It's been a few years, but it's cool to see that whole thing kind of live again, especially in an expansion where Xal'atath's been front and center. We talk a lot about how WoW is not a great story delivery vehicle, and part of that is just I don't think there's a lot of gameplay that's dedicated around telling a story. This is that. So if this gets expanded upon over time, this seems like a feature that could be evergreen, right? Like you only need to be level 10 to do it. You're talking about something that is in the past of the game, so it's not anything that, like, even from a story perspective that you're, I don't know, trying to like there's no stakes, right? This is all stuff that already happened. So, you can keep it light, you can keep it accessible to low level characters. You don't have to tie power rewards to it. You can tune it, generously. And there'll always be opportunity. There's so many stories inside Warcraft as a concept, right? So there'd be so much opportunity to expand on this. I hope that this is just the first 3 out of the gate, and that as time goes on, they're going to continue to expand this feature. I also it sounds like the tech is really friendly. Like you have an icon that indicates that you're participating in it. You can pause it and return to it as long as you don't like restart one. As long as you stay on the same story, you can kind of dip in and dip out of it. You don't have to do the whole thing at once, which is really cool because I don't know how long these chains are going to be, but if you sit down and start doing it, you're like, oh wait, actually I have to go make dinner. Like I didn't realize this was going to take this long. Like you don't, or oh, actually my friends want to do something in game, right? Like it's not something that you're locked into and it's all or nothing, and I think that helps too. Like you can just play it at your own pace. That seems to be a lot of the stuff that's coming in .7 with the new campaign, with lore walking. It's like, check it out. Here's some stuff to check out. I think that's positioned kind of nicely. It's not really, it's low pressure. If you don't want to do it, it's not really going to affect your end of season kind of returns. It's not going to affect your season 3 readiness, and it's not stuff that's likely to go away anytime soon. So that seems to be the nature of a lot of stuff that we're getting once this comes in, not this coming reset, but next reset.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure. All right, with that, I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons. They contribute a ton to our show and help us to improve on the content we create. Today, I'm going to give a special shout out to Arajian, Bradley, Chris, James, Kapawi, Garrett, Max, and Shorel. Thank you so much for all that you give. And thank you so much to all of our patrons, all past and present, who support our show and help us to fund the bills and keep things hosted and running. We appreciate you very much. No new patrons this week. However, if you're looking for our Patreon to jump in and support, you can find that over at patreon.com/thestartingzone. And you can support us over there. Recommend doing it on your browser so you're not dealing with any of those mobile fee things that happen. And yeah, it's a great show that we love doing, and we are very grateful that people support it. So thank you so much to our patrons.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, patrons, past and present. We couldn't keep it on the rails without you. So thank you so much for chipping in and just supporting what we do around here. It means a lot.
Yeah. If you folks enjoyed this, you can leave us a 5-star review over on your iTunes, your Apple Podcasts, or your Spotify's, whatnot. We appreciate all those. And that's going to wrap up episode 687 of The Starting Zone. If you want to check out show notes for this episode or leave us a comment on the show, you can head on over to the Starting Zone podcast, the official website for the Starting Zone. And if, startingzone.com, the official website for the Starting Zone podcast. And if you want to contact the show and leave us your question, you can email us at thestartingzone@gmail.com or reach out to us on Blue Sky, thestartingzone.bsky.social, or at The Starting Zone on Twitter, or thestartingzone.com/Discord to join our Discord server. And with that, Jason, where can folks find you on the internet?
You can find me on socials. I am over on Twitter at Shieldwald, and you can also find me over on Blue Sky at jlucas.bsky.social. I do check both places regularly, but I mostly post stuff to Blue Sky, so check that out if you're so inclined. And you can also find video channels at twitch.tv/Shieldwald and youtube.com/Shieldwald. They've been quiet. They'll probably continue to be quiet for a bit. I'm not sure when I'm going to get back to any kind of regular streaming, but when I feel like throwing stream on, it will be over there.
If you're trying to find me, you can find me over on Blue Sky at spencerhd.bsky.social or on Twitter at Spencer_Downey. Or you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SpencerHD or youtube.com/@SpencerHD. And with that, for Jason and myself, I want to say thanks for listening and jobs done.